Hey everyone, my name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. If you want to find investment opportunities that are undervalued, click subscribe. This is the channel for you. And today I'm going to go over gold and silver, kind of give you an update. One things I noticed was that the dollar was very strong today, put a lot of downward pressure on commodities in general. And gold and silver, I think that felt a little bit of downward pressure as well. And I saw some of the silver companies selling off. So let's jump into the charts. This is going to be kind of a longer a longer look at gold and silver from a long-term viewpoint. So let's take a look. Let's dive in some of the technical analysis and charts. So is the juice worth the squeeze? And I think that the juice is worth the squeeze in gold and silver, and the patience is going to be needed for that juice. I'm going to look at the long-term charting to see what's going on with the sector. And in my opinion, the market conditions are ripe. Housing starts are good. Is it the exact timing right now? I'm going to say tough to say, but I do like this sector. I do think it's going to move to the upside at some point. So let's look at the charts. Here's gold. Got a bunch of trend lines going all over. So this is dollar gold, the actual continuous contract of gold. We got a long-term trend down here. We have another trend line going between here that we bounced off of twice. Then we've got a down trend right here. So we're in the middle of all of this garbage right now. We broke this uptrend line, broke it down, and we're between all these trend lines. We haven't broken out yet, and that's what I'm looking for. When are we going to get this breakout to the upside? I'm just as impatient as everyone else. But I am being patient, I am waiting, and I am looking at my opportunities if this were to pull back more to buy more. Silver, you can kind of see this megaphone pattern. We got the lower pattern and then the upper part of the pattern. We're on the upper side here, tracking sideways. I know we've got a lot of physical demand, and it seems like the paper contracts aren't budging too much. So we're just moving on sideways in silver from a big long-term perspective. The Huey to gold ratio, this is the gold bugs index to gold itself. We broke out of its long-term downtrend line, came up, back tested it, and this looks actually fairly good right here. We do have support down here. So we broke out above to the upside, and we're just meandering around right now. Gold silver index in relationship to gold. This one looks a little bit better, I think. Downtrend break. And we've got this resistance line right here that we're right at. And we've got a trend line coming up here. So this one's looking good. We just got to break through it. Here's GDXJ from a long-term perspective, over many years. We've got this resistance line right there. We broke through it to the upside, and then we came all the way back, and we're using it as a support level. If we break way down through here, you'd probably see the dollar increasing in strength. But I am expecting this support line to hold, or this price to hold somewhere in this general vicinity, and then move and track on higher, with everything else in history saying that we've got negative rates, we've got an expansion phase of real estate, etc., etc., etc. And this looks to be, I think, the bottom, but we'll see. I mean, we got all the volume there. It's all kicked up, and it seems like people are accumulating this. GDX, downtrend break, and then another break of this trend line here to the upside, and then we back tested this breakout here. So this looks pretty good, actually. Doesn't look too bad from a long-term perspective. SILJ, that's still below its long-term downtrend line here. We're still chopping sideways, waiting for a price move in silver itself. We do have the volume kicking way up. See, now this one, the volume kicked up and it pulled back. But in 2016, we didn't have an expansion phase of real estate. We just started kind of entering the end of a recovery phase, so the inflation wasn't there. Is this going is it going to repeat itself like it did in 2016 and pull on back? I don't think so, but we're going to have to continue to see and watch and monitor to see what happens, and to see if silver, inflation, and all that stuff kind of kicks and punches this thing through this downtrend line. So it's still yet to be determined, but I'm hopeful because I've seen other companies break their trend lines to the upside. So that's what makes me think it's going to break to the upside. Silver's just lagged. Here's EK Wax. This is a mutual fund that I follow. This thing's got lines all over the place. This is a trend line here, down trend line here, up trend line here. We're in the middle of all of them. It's just kind of meandering in the middle of all of this. So that's kind of interesting. Huey to gold ratio. This is zoomed in a little bit. In a medium term look at it, we've got a trend line channel, upper trend line channel bouncing between these two kind of. And then it broke out to the downside, and the next support level's way down here. And obviously there's ones going across this way. So this is one to watch, see what it does. This is a ratio. So I don't see a clear direction yet. We do kind of have this downtrend persisting right now and an uptrend line we're right at that uptrend line right here. So I'd like to see this thing break to the upside. MMNGF, it's just going sideways the entire time. Here's the channel, and we're just bouncing back and forth between this channel and all over the place. It's right mixed up all in this 250-day moving average right now. That's what MMNGF looks like. Discovery Metals, it's coiling up into this tip of this pattern here. Maybe it has another weeks or month, and then we move. But it's still coiling up for Discovery Silver. Mag Silver, big uptrend line. We broke out below it and then came right back up. I'm wondering what it's going to do up here. Kind of interesting to see and watch this one. Is it going to break down, or in terms of a double top, a lower high, and then is this thing going to break and go to the downside? Or is this thing going to hold and move to the upside? That's something we're going to have to watch. Here's First Majestic Silver. This is the downtrend line and the pattern that's creating. Broke out to the upside. Now it's pulling back. Are we going to pull back inside of this pattern? Or are we going to stay above it and eventually move on up? It's yet to see. I'm curious to see what's happening. We got a lot of volume down here buying it. So that's good. Newmont Corporation, we've got this upward channel, very long term, back to the 90s, just going up and down in this channel. Anglo Ashanti Gold here, Anglo Gold Ashanti, we're going in a channel downward in this downtrend. Cisco Gold Royalties, we are still in this downtrend line. We have not broken it yet. I'm curious to see if this thing's going to break it. On the other hand, Franco-Nevada has broken its uptrend line to the upside, back tested, and this thing looks pretty good. And this is Endeavor Silver coming on up. We've got this trend line here. Hopefully we don't break it. It's right there, almost at the trend line. So that's one to watch. We do have a lower high, so it's a lower high, lower low. We could be starting a downtrend if this thing breaks and breaks down here. So, haven't seen the buyers step in here yet for gold and silver. That's what I'm looking for. It looked good, I'd say 2 days ago. We were seeing bullish engulfings. We were seeing all of these positive developments. And now the buyers just never stepped in. Dollars increasing in strength. It looks like someone's pushing this lower, whoever that may be. But we'll have to continue to watch and monitor this and see where it goes. So these candlesticks, when I look at them, the chart patterns are valid, irrespective kind of the long term, like looking at this stuff. I look at the candlesticks for very short term movements. If the candlestick shows me like a bullish engulfing or bullish piercing, usually that is good for some days. It could be a week. It could be a month or two. It depends what it all ties into. But it is weird to see some of these bullish engulfings and bullish piercings kind of almost reverse itself and come back. That would be on the smaller statistical side. So that's what I've got for gold and silver. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate you guys listening. This is Finding Value.